It's go big by going small. Super counterintuitive, but that's how it works. It's the power of no. It's not trying to do everything and trying to be everything to everybody. That does not work. That is a recipe for you going broke. Welcome to the Income Flip channel. I'm Rob Chavez. I've sold over $2 billion worth of real estate, and I help investor-friendly agents scale. And today's topic is about something that helped me scale when I started applying it at a high level. And I call it the power of zone. See, zone is made up of 4 distinct pillars, and each one of those pillars has to be done correctly. There's 3 building blocks to each pillar. So 1, 2, 3. And within each building block, there are 3 critical components. And in fact, I've got the cheat sheet below, and I'll show you what each one of those are in more detail if you click that link. But let's get into this. Zone stands for zero in on your target market, own the mind share of your market, nurture and grow your database, and expand and grow. And this is really leveraging the power of focus. You see, the reality is you cannot be all things to all people. If you try to be all things to all people, your message is going to get diluted and you will just be like every other realtor out there. And the goal is to stand out, right? It's essentially to become the standout in whatever you decide to do. As an investor-friendly agent, you're already deciding on a niche. You're going to say, I'm going to focus primarily on working with investors, which is awesome, which is why I think you guys have a leg up in the game. But you got to go even deeper than that. And so let's talk about how we do it within our business. And then hopefully it'll give you some ideas of how you can implement it in your business. So one of the key things that I decided on was we wanted to focus primarily working with absentee owners and landlords in our market, which is the Reston market. And when you pull that data, there's thousands of landlords in our market. It's not a terribly big market. It's like a speck in the DMV, like on the DMV map, but there's like 60,000 households. And so when I pull that list has maybe 6,000, 7,000 absentee owners, landlords. Transparently, that's a lot for most people to try to own the mind share of that market. We said, okay, well, let's go a level deeper. How many of those actually just own townhouses and single family homes? And then ones that have not traded since the year 2000. And when we pull that list, that's 1,040 homes. That's a much more targeted list. Now, why do we like townhomes and single family homes versus condos? Well, price point's higher. And then 2, they need a lot of construction work, and we make money off of pre-sale renovation construction work before we list properties. So that's a topic for another video, but just know that's why we like townhouses and single family houses. One of the concepts of zone is researching who else in your market is actually doing this. So when we researched our market, nobody's really doing this at a high level. And by the way, pretty much guarantee that nobody's doing it at a high level in your market either. So you've got to research and select like who you want to be the superhero to, and we selected that landlord absentee owner. But you could select another type of avatar to go after that's an investor. So for instance, on our team, we have an agent by the name of Aaron, and he goes after STRs. And he loves the STR market, and he crushes it, absolutely crushes it. He focuses on a geographic area, Shenandoah Valley in Virginia, and then a psychographic target avatar, which is short-term rental owners, right? That's what the power of zone does. It literally starts eliminating options so that you can focus on the main option for you. So in our market in Reston, we said absentee owners, landlords in 3 zip codes, and that came back with 1,040 homes. Now that provided the records that we needed in order to target them. But in order to target them properly, you need to develop your value proposition for them. So let's talk a little bit about what that value proposition might look like. You have to ask yourself the question, what problems does that target avatar face? Well, sometimes they're tired landlords. They're just tired. They oftentimes need a network of electricians and plumbers and roofers, especially if they're do-it-yourselfers. Another problem they might have is that they're not happy with their existing property manager. Ding, 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 ding. If you own a property management company like we do, that is opportunity for you. So the other reason why I like landlords and absentee owners is because we can get not only construction work, but property management work off of that target avatar as well. So once you understand what their problems are, you can start creating the right branding and messaging to resonate with that target avatar. So for instance, Aaron, all of his videos are about short-term rentals in the Shenandoah Valley. His pictures are about short-term rentals in the Shenandoah Valley area. His posts are all about short-term rentals in that market. It's about solving problems for people who own short-term rentals in that market. Who do you think gets the lion's share of the business in that market? It's Aaron, because he's focused on his target avatar. Same thing with our landlords in our market. When we did the research, nobody was really doing it at a high level. Nobody really pulled that list. Nobody proactively owns the mind share of the list, which is the next pillar of zone. So how do you own the mind share of that list? Well, there's only three ways. You're going to prospect for it, you're going to network for it, and you're going to market for it. And typically in that order. You want to know how many people call absentee owners, landlords? Not many. How do I know that? Because I own a lot of real estate and nobody ever calls me. I might get a text message every now and then that says, hey Sheila, are you interested in selling 123 Main Street? I just ignore it because nobody's helping me solve a problem or nobody's coming to me with an idea about that particular property. In fact, nobody's coming to me with, do you want to buy another one in that market? Interestingly enough, which is one of the calls that we like to make to that target market. And it sounds a little bit like this. It's like, hey, I see that you own this property at 123 Main Street. I'm an agent that helps investors like you find more deals like the one you have. I'm just curious, are you looking to purchase anything else? Super simple, super safe, and nobody makes that call. And right there, they're either going to say yes, or they're going to say no, we're thinking of selling, and then boom, you get the listing, or you get the appointment. So you're going to prospect, network, and market. Now, what does networking look like? Well, networking might be going to your local chamber of commerce, going to a BNI, going to a local meetup, and specifically saying, I work with like landlords and absentee owners to help them maximize their particular asset. I help them make more money. I help landlords make more money, right? You got to refine your message. And they're like, well, how? Right? I can either help them optimize their property when they go to sell or optimize it when they own it. So we pulled that list of 1,040 homes in our target market and we mailed to that market with rotation of the typical problems and solutions that we help that target avatar solve. By the way, do you think you could do that one time and expect them to remember you? No, this is about owning the mind share of the market. How did Coca-Cola own your mind share? Well, through constant ads, constant jingles, constant like images, all about Coke. You need to be the Coke of your target avatar. And how are you going to do it? Well, through prospecting, networking, marketing. But awesome. Once you get that, like what do you do with that 1,040 homes that you need to touch consistently? Well, that's where you're going to incubate them. You're with a database. You're going to educate them with education-based marketing, and then you're going to convert them. And think of it as like a funnel. You put people into your database. You're going to tag them in a way where you're going to be sending out an email every week and then provide them an item of value that forces that exchange of value of the email. Hey, we work with landlords like you in this particular market. We have a list of contractors that we vetted that are awesome. Would you like that list? You could download that list by going to XYZ link, or I could email it to you. We also build our email list through our investment group. And what do landlords want? They typically want to know what their asset value is worth, and then you're going to provide them items of value. What is value? There's only 4 ways to really add value to somebody. You're going to help them make more money. You're going to help them save money. You're going to make them smarter through information, or you're going to entertain them, right? And maybe a combination of all of those. That's how you cut through the noise, okay? Once you start educating them, they become familiar with you. And through familiarity, like how do you say that? Yeah, that's how you say it. you build trust. And this is just a game of trust. You trust somebody that you see over and over again in the market, and then through trust, that's where conversion happens. Okay, once you do that, the final pillar in zone is expand your influence. This is when you really start becoming a force of nature in the community. Well, how do you do that? You build a community around the idea of helping investors and landlords either find more deals or optimize their deals. And we put on a monthly seminar, you can call it, but I call it like a monthly community meeting about real estate investing. And who do you think comes to that group? Well, there's a lot of landlords that come to that particular group, a lot of fix and flippers, a lot of wholesalers. Like, we feed and love on that investment community, but I'm looking for that multi-transactional client. When I'm looking for an investor to work with, it's typically a business owner that makes a lot of money who happens to buy real estate. Like, that's my ideal target avatar owner. And then I take that person out for coffee. Okay, we curate experiences for that community. How? By putting on Christmas parties, holiday parties, brewery events, fun events that curate experiences to become memorable in the community. And then we expand our impact by giving back to the community. Do charitable giving or raising money for the homeless, giving back through education. That's a big one for us. Okay, let me give you a visual representation of how this can work for you. Imagine that all these little squares are grids within your city or your town or your county. And you're, for the most part, trying to do too much. Most agents, most investor-friendly agents, they're getting dragged all around God's creation. Like, looking at properties, their energy is scattered, and they don't make any money. But as soon as you decide to focus on one of the grids, so think of that as a geographic market, and then one niche within that geographic market, I call that a psychographic market. That could be, like we said already, a landlord, or it could be somebody that owns short-term rentals. Another one that I go after as an investor-friendly agent is like, what do my clients want? My clients want deals. So I go after deals for them by making cash offer value propositions in my target zones for pre-foreclosures. So in fact, our three-legged stool when it comes to targeting in our zone market are landlords, pre-foreclosures, and probate. Now, I'm going to encourage you not to try to do all three in the beginning, because like you won't master any of them. You've got to focus on one, and I would say focus on one for an entire year before you decide to add the next leg, and then add the next leg. You've got to really understand the numbers and the metrics behind that one avatar. And you got to build all the best marketing for them, and you got to solve their problem. And when you do, you're going to get tons of business. And again, I like that market because it gives us construction work and it gives us property management work, in addition to listings, in addition to investors in that market wanting to buy more product. So when you think about zoning, there's geographic and there's psychographic. And the deeper you go in on something, the more money you're going to make. It's counterintuitive. It's go big by going small. Super counterintuitive, but that's how it works. It's the power of no. It's not trying to do everything and trying to be everything to everybody. That does not work. That is a recipe for you going broke. Every one of those building blocks has three main things you need to do in it to really dominate your market. Hopefully, this has been helpful. If so, leave a comment, and look forward to seeing you next week. Take care.